morning, guys. Welcome back to the vlog, and welcome back to a foggy morning in Goroka, PNG. My name is Ryan, and I'm going to take you on a flight today, 25 minutes down to the coast from Goroka down to Padang. We're going to do an instrument departure out of here, over the mountains, and down to the coast, so let's go ahead and get started. First things first, what we're going to do is make sure all of our switches are where we want to be. Our inertial separator here into bypass, power lever's back, everything's back. Flaps are good. All of our fuses are good. I'm just running my hand on them. We're going to put the fuel on. We've got another plane pulling out right now. Ignition on, fuel pump on, and low starter. Watching our end sheets coming past 14%. Introduce our fuel. We're going to count up. It usually takes exactly 12 seconds. Watching our ITT. It's staying in the green arc. It's cold start at 672. Right, ignition and aux fuel pump off. Generator, alternator, and aux bus on, and push our prop forward. There we go. Just get a little bit of blower on. That was the heater that just came on just a second ago. Alright, fuel caps and selectors are good. Controls. TAWs, we're gonna leave alone for this departure. We're going to go up to 9,000. We're starting at 5,000 today. We're going to check our weight. We only have a couple hundred kgs. So I'm just going to put that in my app here. Got all of our seats in. Payload is around 220 kg. Light, so it doesn't really matter. We have 700 pounds of fuel on. So I'm going to put in 490 on the cargo. Enter, that's going to give me my weight, 5,700. So rotate at 56, ending at 65. So I'm going to put my VREF in at 65 if I have to come back in, and 56. Goroka Tower, good morning. November Tango Zulu request, taxi Padang 1 POB.
Confirm you have SOE approval for this flight.
Affirmative.
November Tango Zulu, roger. And taxi for 17 left, enter back dragon lineup. QNH 1022, time 16.
1022, clear to backtrack lineup 17 left, November Tango Zulu. Alright, governor check. Governor check is good. Blinking lights, pulse lights, strobe on, ignition on. Now we're going to want to put our radar in standby mode, get the gimbals going. It's not just bouncing around in there. Alright, if we do need to stop on the runway for any reason, if we're not at 50 knots by the first taxiway, full reverse, heavy braking, flaps up, cut off, pull off, shut off if we're going off. After takeoff, pitch for 85, consider EPL, consider feather. 80 full flaps, cut off, pull off, shut off, emergencies, call the tower, cracker doors and brace. Goroka Tower, November Tango Zulu ready for takeoff.
November Tango Zulu, and you copy the company November Tango Kilo?
Copy company November Tango Zulu.
November Tango Zulu, 17 left, make a left turn, clear for takeoff.
Left takeoff, left turn, November Tango Zulu. Alright, we have our instrument departure in. It's only about 200 feet, but that'll at least get us popped through. We have ignition, condition flaps 20 indicated and verified. And harnesses, cleared for takeoff. It is 19 degrees out again this morning, like it always is. Let's go ahead and put our bug in the center. So we're going to rotate at 56 knots and 1390 for 1440 on the torque. Alright, our airspeed is alive. Pushing 50, continuing. There's 56, rotate. We want 740 on the ITT for climb out. I'm going to go ahead and make a quick turn now because it looks like I can just come out VFR right here. There we go. Even easier. Right after 400 feet above the ground, we'll start reducing flaps over 85 knots. over 90 knots, which we're over 100 right now. We'll reduce to 0 and bring our prop back to 2,000 RPM. Alright, we're going to go ahead and reduce our ITT back to 720 for our climb out and just our RPM back to 2,000. Go ahead and write our departure time down. Lots of low scuzzy clouds. 20 and 35. Crocodile November Tango Zulu departure time 20. We'll be tracking initially for the bend of the 019er on climb down above 9,000. Madang 45.
November Tango Zulu, not about 9,000. Contact Madang 120.1, orange F6538 in the bending gap.
120.1 or 653 in the bending gap, November Tango Zulu. Right, the bending gap is just right up through here. I can over tops of the mountains right up there. We'll just get past these low aligning clouds and head out over top of them. Looks like it's going to be a really beautiful day. So today I'm going to be doing a practice. Oh, look at that, just beautiful. Today I'm going to be doing a practice RMP approach into Madang. I haven't done this one in a few months, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to do a quick practice approach to our landing lights, pulse lights, bypass, and ignition. All off, and it's starting to get bright out. So once we get out over the gap, away from lower terrain, we'll bring out the iPad into ForeFlight, and I'll show you exactly what this approach is going to look like. Let's see, set my altimeter setting for the area.
Terrain ahead.
Yes.
Terrain ahead.
Got to turn Betty off again. This is the bending gap here. You can get through it around 7,000 feet, I think, or so. The absolute lowest, but you're scraping the trees to get out. So we're just climbing up to 9,000, and that's going to give us more than enough space to get out. But sometimes it is nice to fly low because, man, it's really beautiful. You can just see so much more detail when you are actually flying low. This morning I have 2 flights down to Padang. We're picking up 2 full loads of people to bring them up to Broca. So this first one, I'm just coming down empty, as you can see in the back, and picking up a load of people. And then the second one, I have a bunch of like furniture and things like that to take down for some people down there. So not that long of a day. I think I should be done by noon. It's 8:23 in the morning right now. So I think it's only, well, it's only a 25-minute flight each way. So by the time I get loaded and everything, so. Anyways, coming through the gap now. Oh, not quite, nearly coming through the gap. So right when we get past this gap, it's called the Rambu Valley. It's always beautiful, nearly always beautiful in the valley. And that's the way it is in most valleys here in PNG, is almost always just awesome in the valleys. And then in the afternoons, usually around 2:30, 3 o'clock is when all the mountaintops start getting a lot of rain and clouds and just impassable. So I can see all the way to Padang now. The Finisterre Mountains are the next mountain range out there, another 20 miles or so out. So let's just continue up to 9,000 and then pull out the iPad and start briefing this approach. Before we get the iPad going, let's give Madang a quick call, let them know we're coming through the bending gap. Madang 120.1, November Tango Zulu position.
November Tango Zulu, Madang.
Good morning, November Tango Zulu through the bending gap. I'll climb 9,000, estimating Madang 4-4.
November Tango Zulu, 9,000, 80 kilo, that's 1011. No additional to company proceeding, November Tango Kilo. Contact Padang Tower at 25 miles.
1011, contact Tower 25, you mean November Tango Zulu. Alright, so let's go ahead and bring up our ForeFlight app and brief the approach. So first things first is we're going to go into our airports, and we're going to find the airport we're going to. So it's AYMD from Padang. Then we have procedures. We're going to go to the approach. 07, it's a GNSS, it's just a GPS, but here in PNG now they are considered RNP. We actually had to get special training to actually be able to do them, even though they are just regular GPS. They're not like the cool RMP approaches that are like descending, turning around mountains and stuff. I wish they were, but they're not. And they actually don't even have that low of minimums either. So our minimum descent altitude on this because they don't actually have the local QNH or the local altimeter setting there. It's 740 feet. Well, actually, no, they do. I'm thinking temperature. They do have altimeter, so it's 640 feet. So we're 4-3 miles out right now. And let's just go ahead and find the approaching here. So first things, let me just bring it up on my phone. Let's just go ahead and show you how to bring open the procedures. So first thing, we're going to hit procedures. Select approach. We want the 07. And we want Whiskey Delta. So we want Whiskey Delta, Barrow at 630 feet. We're going to load that. Right, now that we are at 9,000 feet, we're going to go ahead and bring our torque down to 1250. That's going to be our cruising torque. Right, so we are 38 miles out. Let's go ahead and check our ATIS. It's 127.8.
Runway 25. Wind variable 3 knots. Visibility 10 kilometers or more. Cloud scattered 3,000 feet. QNH 1013. Temperature not available. Caution. Bird hazard exists. Acknowledge information, Charlie.
Okay, so there's ATIS information, Charlie. We're going to go ahead and put our tower frequency in here. 18.1. We're going to give them a call at 25 DME. We'll request the practice approach. But let's go ahead and bring this back now that we're got all this stuff done. Okay, so like I said, we got to make sure the first things first is that we actually are going where we're going. Padang, runway 07. We want to go to Whiskey Delta, which is the initial approach fix at 5,600 feet. It's already in here at 5,600 feet. It automatically puts it in. Okay, so what we can do is come down here and turn it blue. Right now it's white. We hit enter, and then we tell the GPS what our vertical speed that we actually want. So I'm going to come down at 800 feet per minute. I would like. Let's see if that's going to even be enough. Yes, so let me go back to our flight plan page. Hit direct to that. If I need to go off of it, that's fine, but that way it gives me an accurate assessment of what I need. Padang is 32 miles out, which is fine. We'll call them at 25 DME. Our top of descent is in here now. Let's go back to the main page. 800 feet per minute. It brings us down just past the 25 DME mark, which is, this is like a Class D airspace. That's what that ring is around here. So our top of descent is just past that. So we want to be at 5,600 feet at the point. Initial fix is Whiskey India, which is 3,690 feet. So we turn onto our heading of 058. It's just a kind of step down. It's just a regular GPS approach. So if you've done those, then there's nothing special about this one. So our missed approach, if we had to go miss for any reason, is just direct track to Whiskey Hotel, which is just straight ahead to 2,700, and then we would just set the approach back in if we needed to go back and do it. It's a beautiful day. So again, this is just a practice approach. I'm not even putting foggles on. I just want to get into the habit of actually doing it, and it's been a while since I've done this approach, so it's always nice to do it on a nice VFR day, so that if you do have to do it when it's just terrible weather out, you feel so much more comfortable actually doing it.
Vertical track.
All right, there's our vertical track. Betty letting us know it's time to go down. We're also just nearly at 25 miles, so let's give Tower a call. Padang Tower, November Tango Zulu.
November Tango Zulu, Padang Tower, good morning.
Good morning, November Tango Zulu 25 DB to the south, 9,000. Shortly on descent, requesting to shoot the practice GNSS approach 07 with information Charlie.
November Tango Zulu, roger. Confirm you have preceding company traffic, November Tango Kilo.
Hey, affirmative. Copy, November Tango Kilo, November Tango Zulu.
November Tango Zulu, roger, cleared on approach. Call again, Whiskey Delta, runway 07.
Wait for the practice approach, call again, Whiskey Delta, November Tango Zulu. Right, so I said 5,600 feet, so we just turned the altitude buck down to 5,600 feet. What that's going to do is it's going to give us a blue arc on our screen to show us where we're actually going to get to that altitude. I'm going to get there just a tiny bit beforehand. I found that it's always good, rather than trying to get there, especially on approaches, to get to whatever altitude is exactly. Many times, like on an ILS or something with this no pilot, you actually have to be level wings and everything at the altitude for you to actually pick up the glide slope. Now this doesn't have any glide slope or anything. Runway 25 actually does have vertical guidance down. This one does not, so we'll actually have to manually bring it down after each point. So again, I'm going to go ahead and hit altitude and VS so that it levels off at 5,600 feet. Increase my descent rate. Reduce my torque a bit to keep my speed, and also the slower I go, the more this blue line comes back, so that's why I'm pulling that back. Alright, now that we're just 5 miles out, I'm going to go ahead and boost my power to 800 foot-pounds of torque, push my props forward. I don't have to do this, but I don't do a ton of approaches myself because there's not a lot of approaches here. So I like to get everything set up way beforehand and just come in really slow, just at my approach speed, which is 110 knots the whole way. Now, if you're doing these all the time, you can mock me for this, but hey, I like to think way ahead because I know myself and I can get distracted really easy, so the sooner I can get things done, the better. Let's go ahead and hit procedures and go ahead and activate the approach because we're nearly there anyways, and I'm just going to go ahead and zoom in on that screen, and I'm going to zoom in to about 10 miles on this screen and about 20 miles on that screen. This is a good time to start my checklist, pre-landing checklist. I got my selectors and brakes, my TAWs I'm going to leave on, my VREF, I'm going to come over here to our aux page, it's 5,600 pounds, our approach speed is 64 knots. Our landing lights on, we're below 140 knots, put our inertial separator into bypass, and back to the big map. We've already talked about our board if we did have to go around. In this case, it would just be not planning on doing an actual miss because it's a beautiful day, but if I did have to go around for birds or something, there's a lot of huge bats here that have wingspans that probably 4 to 5 feet wide. So power up 20 degrees, pitch for 73, and straight ahead or maneuver as required. A beep was just letting us know I'm 200 feet before 5,600 feet. I'm going to let her know I'm at Whiskey Delta. I'm just coming up on it 0.5 miles. Padang Tower, November Tango Zulu, Whiskey Delta this time.
November Tango Zulu, report again, Whiskey Foxtrot.
Report again, Whiskey Foxtrot, November Tango Zulu. Right, now that we are here, we're coming down to 3,700 feet. For descent again, we're going to hit VS and altitude at the same time, and that's going to capture altitude. We're coming down at 900 feet per minute. Get us down to 3,700 feet before Whiskey India, which is our next, this is our initial fix. We're going to make a right-hand turn to 058 after that, so I'm going to go ahead and put my bug in here at 058. We've already talked about our boards. Our props are forward. Our harnesses are done. We have flaps to go. I don't have any flaps in right this minute. Once I get to my initial fix, then I'm going to start slowing down and I'll put in my 10 degrees of flaps. Like I said, I don't do approaches tons. We stay current, but to do actual approaches, we don't really have that many unless we go down to Australia, we have them, or Port Moresby, we have them, but anywhere else, we don't really have them that often. Once I get on my inbound track of 058, I'm going to go ahead and hit the approach button to activate the approach on the GPS itself. Right now, it's just following the magenta lines. All right, there's Whiskey India. Making a right-hand turn now to 058. And at this point, we can go down to 2,100, bring it back to 900 feet, then hit our altitude and VS together. Said to let us know when we get to Whiskey Foxtrot, which is the next point. Be by 2,100 feet at that point. Right, now I'm going to go ahead and we're on our descent. I'm going to bring this torque to 400 foot-pounds. That's going to give us 10 degrees of flaps. That's going to give us our approach speed of 110 knots. The only thing bad about putting the altitude select on when you do have the vertical speed is it tries to level itself off super nice, and it's not really saying, oh yeah, I really want to get to that point at that specific distance. I just turn that off for now. Shooting for 110 knots. I'm going to go ahead and hit approach my autopilot. These are 110 knots.
Tower November Tango, Kilo, you're right, if I park at Bay 4.
Right, half of a mile to Whiskey Foxtrot, where we'll let her know. Tower November Tango Zulu, Whiskey Foxtrot.
November Tango Zulu, confirm you wish to land runway 07.
Affirmative, 07 worked great, thanks. November Tango Zulu.
November Tango Zulu, runway 07, clear to land.
Clear to land 07, November Tango Zulu. Right, so right now I have 470 foot-pound torque, 110 knots. That's exactly what we're looking for. We want 10 degrees, props forward. Our props, there's one prop. Our prop forward. Our next point is at 1,100 feet. So I don't mess up, I'm going to go ahead and hit my altitude select. So I can get 1,100 feet. Bring that down to 1,100 feet, which is shown right here. Now it's flashing. 200 feet. But my next one is at 640 feet once I get past Whiskey Zulu. Now as I'm leveling off, my speed's decreasing as increasing my torque to around 800 foot-pound of torque. That's going to give me still the 110 knots as I'm flying level. Our next reporting point, or this is Whiskey Zulu, not necessarily a reporting point, but our missed approach is at 640 in point 2. Bring this down to 640 and start going down 900 feet per minute. 0.2 miles out. I'm going to go ahead and break off now. Autopilot off. Get set up to land. Flaps to go. We're 3-mile final. 07 would be cleared to land. Under 120 knots, we go 20 degrees of flaps. And we'll be watching for bats and big birds on landing.
Minimums.
Right under 108 knots, full flaps, checklist complete.
500.
And our slowest speed we've already set up is 64 knots, according to this weight for this specific. I'm just shooting for the 500 foot markers. Alright guys, if you enjoyed this flight, please give me a thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm. Feel free to share it with all your other aviation enthusiasts. And thank you so much for taking the time to watch. Consider subscribing if you do like this content. I put out these type of videos every single week. So thanks again for taking the time to watch, and have a great day.